The only things I've ever been on are with you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? That's weird how that works out.
Yeah, keep the experts in the one place. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, just so you know, Gary, we're about to go live on YouTube now. We don't do it on Facebook anymore. We do it on YouTube instead, and it's been doing well, to be fair.
Seen the downloads for most episodes are also going up quite considerably.
Yeah, massively. It's amazing to see. Right, now Ruby sent me a tutorial on how to set all the settings for the stream. I'll get all the descriptions up and everything while it's live. I'll just do that. There we go. That's it. Right, here we go. This is it. I couldn't figure it out last time. I was like, she'd literally sent me a step-by-step guide, but me being the expert in IT, I just couldn't hack it. But I've done it this time. It's been a hell of a season so far, hasn't it, Gary? It's been every race almost, apart from Monaco, really has been entertaining.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. It's what we need. Long overdue.
It's amazing how much Monaco now sticks out. It's just such an awful race now. Like usually it kind of blends in, like it's like Monaco, Paul Ricard, and then sort of when we go to Sochi, and Spain, they all kind of merge in as like terrible races. But now it's been like a row of amazing races.
They do need to make some changes there, I think.
Looking forward to the Abu Dhabi changes.
Yeah, even Abu Dhabi might be all right this year. What's going on?
Even though I was gutted they're getting rid of that triple chicane because it's like the easiest place to make up quite a lot of time on the game if you just corner cut, straight line it.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Louis. I never do that. Oh.
And the Paul Ricard, you couldn't watch the Paul Ricard with a few beers in you because all the wiggly lines, you don't know where the track is and where the runoff areas are.
Oh no, my mum refuses to ever watch it because the lines just give her headaches.
Yeah, it's just I don't see the logic of it from their point of view. I think it detracts from the race.
I mean, the fact that it's got so many different, layouts, and the fact that it's got, bits of track which, are just normal bits of track, it just all just sort of makes your brain go a bit funny.
Yeah, I don't get it. They've got so many different layouts, like you said, but they seem to choose one that usually doesn't do well, but it did this year. I only watched the highlights. I didn't watch it live because I thought I'll do something else. I'll catch up with some family. It's only France. Nothing's going to happen. But it seemed pretty decent.
It was a great race.
Your man Russell did well.
He did. 12th place. Williams back into 9th in the constructors.
He was a bit unlucky in a sense because there was no retirals in the top teams. Normally you'd have one or two drop out. They might have got the elusive point at last.
There wasn't a single retirement.
There's no safety cars or anything. Like people are expecting safety cars. It's like
very odd race. Yeah, I mean, my bold prediction was that we'd have an entertaining race at Paul Ricard, and that came true. I think Tom Horrocks said there'd be no retirements, and he got it right. It was a really, really strange race for Paul Ricard.
Ask him for the 6 numbers on Saturday, George.
Mystic Tom, yeah. We'll be in Edinburgh next week, Gary.
All right.
Thursday we come up and stay all day Friday, then we leave on Saturday. So,
where are you staying?
Staying very close to the what they call it? Is it the Royal Mile? Yeah, very close to there. There's a hotel that I found that was shockingly cheap and well reviewed. I guess because they're desperate people to the In Place. It is.
It's called the In Place, or is it?
Yeah, as in like no room at the In Place. Yeah. It's on Cockburn Street, which made me laugh when I saw that.
Coburn, that's how we pronounce it here.
Coburn, okay. Thank you for telling me that beforehand.
You sound like an American. Gee, fella, can you tell me where Cockburn Street is?
Where's Cockburn Street?
Yeah.
In Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh. So yeah, we'll arrange something. If you're up for meeting up, I'd be
Yeah.
good
Could have a
to meet
pint
in
somewhere.
person. Yes, definitely.
It's a very short stay you're coming for.
Yeah. There's a lot of places in Scotland we want to go to, and I just came up with this audacious plan to go and see a lot of them.
Oh, so you're doing more than just Edinburgh?
Yeah.
Well, depending on work, I might be up in Glasgow in a few weeks.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, Huddersfield Town women are playing Celtic in a friendly.
Oh, all right.
No such thing as a friendly in Scotland.
So we've been doing a lot of travelling because we were away at Brighton in the FA Cup back in May, and then the first game back is going to be away in Scotland, just like Christ.
Well, hopefully things will start opening up properly soon. Get back to some.
Yeah,
I see this. I can't understand today this. So the Scotland player that tested positive for COVID, Gilmore.
Yeah.
And they're saying he's had no close contacts, and you just think, well, how does that work? He's sitting in coaches and hotel rooms and on the field, and how's there no close contact there?
It's bizarre, isn't it? But they've tested all the England players. Everybody's come back negative, but
yeah,
I'm not sure. I don't like that because it's like it doesn't show up for days sometimes. So
yeah. What happens if 2 or 3 of them? Yeah, they might get away with tomorrow, but what happens tomorrow? They do the results tomorrow, and there's half a dozen of them, and you'd have to argue that the whole squad would need to isolate.
They'd have to postpone the game or cancel. I don't even know. I don't think they know, to be honest.
I don't think they would know, and there's not really a precedent for it, I don't think.
It's very strange indeed. Right, shall we get going?
Yeah.
I think Louis frozen. Louis, you still there? Oh, Louis just, yeah, good job. Good job I checked that before we went on. Just wait for him to come back.
What's happened to him?
I think his connection's just gone or something. I'm not sure. He just froze and then he went. He should come back though. There he is. Here's Louis. Guessing that's a no. Don't know if you might not know that we can't see or hear him. Oh, there he goes again. So what do you reckon then, Gary? What do you reckon for, I mean, it's still early days relatively, but Constructors' Championship and Drivers' Championship, because it's to and fro a lot already, really.
Yeah. It's a hard one to call, to be honest. I mean, I think Mercedes have got more depth than Red Bull. And they're coming off the back of multiple years. You know, it's like they used to always say about Williams' team. You know, they know how to win championships. I know Red Bull do as well, but it's been a long time. So I think Mercedes has still got the edge. I just think it's what we want. It's not easy to call the Hamilton Verstappen. It's the same thing, really. You know, I mean, I think Hamilton playing a wee bit of mind games at the weekend there with sort of usually when he has his doesn't win because of pit strategies. He can be a bit grumpy and downbeat, where he was all Mr. Happy Clappy Chappy on the podium, and in the post-interview press conferences, he was all well done to Max. And so I think, I don't know. I think what might happen is Mercedes have got more chance of imploding than Red Bull. So they only need a couple of bad races or a few runs of bad luck, and a couple of disastrous pit stops, they could unravel. Whereas I don't think that'll happen to Red Bull. I still think Red Bull feel it's for their, for them to take off Mercedes. I don't think they feel they're the favourites. I think they think they're challengers, but I don't think they're the favourites. So there's a slightly different mindset for them. But never thought I'd say I was pleased to see your face, Louis, but there we go.
Oh, don't know. My Wi-Fi is at a mare. It cut out completely, saying there was no internet, and now it's just then magically reappeared.
Mine does that, to be fair, sometimes as well. So let's hope it doesn't happen again. Usually when there's bad weather. I don't know if it's not too great here, but
yeah, it's not brilliant here either.
Yeah, some thunderstorms around England at the moment, I think. But right, let's get going. Trying to stand my phone up on computer, but it won't do it. There we go. After a surprisingly entertaining race in Paul Ricard, Formula One heads to Austria for the first of 2 rounds around the Red Bull Ring. Welcome back to the Grid Talk podcast, everybody. This is episode number 114, where we'll be previewing the 2021 Styrian Grand Prix. I am your host, George Howson, and today I'm joined by multimedia journalist Louis Edwards.
Hello.
And Formula One author Garry Sloan.
Hi there.
All right, lads, thank you for joining us this evening. So we will get into the teams and the drivers ahead of the Styrian Grand Prix, and we'll start with the home team. We'll start with the constructors' leaders at the moment, Red Bull Racing, Louis. And it's fair to say they'll be coming into this one on a high. Verstappen winning 2 of the last 3 rounds. Them as a team winning 3 in a row for the first time since 2013. And honestly, this track should probably suit their car as well. So I think they're coming into this one as the favourites.
Yeah, exactly what you said. It's a track that they've been very strong at in the past. Max has a couple of wins to his name here as well. Maybe Albon should have had a win here last season, but that seems so long ago now. Yeah, it is a track that really should be favouring Red Bull. And I think even though I think some of us may have come into Paul Ricard thinking Red Bull might struggle a bit more than we thought they did, but I expect this to be kind of like Monaco and like Baku. I think this is going to be a track where Red Bull will expect to dominate, and I think Mercedes is going to have to try their very hardest if they're going to try and beat the might of Red Bull this weekend.
Yeah, after a poor start at Paul Ricard, Max Verstappen made a great comeback to usurp Lewis Hamilton at France, and he now leads the Drivers' Championship by 12 points. Sergio Perez consolidating his 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship as well, Gary. He seems to be on top of the car, and Max seems to be absolutely flying. I mean, he should have won the last 3 races. If it wasn't for that puncture in Azerbaijan, he would have won there as well. So they really are the form outfit at the moment.
Yeah, you've got to fancy Max. I mean, this is what this man lives for. The sort of stars are aligning for him. And he's waited long enough, so I think you can see it, and it'll give him. Yeah, I think it kind of feel like I said earlier. It's like Hamilton will probably feel it's his to lose. Verstappen will think it's his to win, and I think that'll give Verstappen a bit of an edge. But he's going to go for it big time. It's just whether or not he'll keep it on the track.
Yeah, that is always the issue, isn't it? Whether he can keep it raining on the track or not. But with how good Red Bull were around France, you never know. It could be a 1-2 finish for them. It could be the first 1-2 finish for Red Bull in I don't even know how long. They should have got it in Baku, but they didn't. Fate said no. Pirelli said no, unfortunately. There you go. But yeah, we'll move on to the defending champion, the 7-time world champion, Sir Lewis Hamilton. Louis, I mean, how do you think he's going to be coming into this? Because I feel like he had an excellent race in France. He and Mercedes did everything they could. I mean, Red Bull admittedly did get the jump on them, but they did try their best to hang it out there, but it just didn't work. It was the reverse of Spain. And in truth, around a track that really should suit Mercedes, they didn't win. They looked slower. So are they going to be worried coming into what hasn't been the best track for them over the years?
Yeah, I think as a previous said, I think it's gonna take a lot for Mercedes to usurp sort of this current run of form that Red Bull are on. It's a triple header sort of, from France to these next two races. You can't allow Red Bull to just gain so much massive momentum, especially in the both constructors and drivers world championships. Lewis is gonna have to work incredibly hard, and he's gonna have to really sort of upset the odds in a way, sort of take, Red Bull have, got a blow on Mercedes at a track that they thought they would be dominant at. It's now Mercedes' job to try and, deal a blow on Red Bull at a track where they really should be winning. So, but for Lewis, it's more than just for the team's sake, it's for the championship's sake. He's losing more and more ground to Max, and he really needs a win.
It does, yeah. And I thought France was going to be that for him. I thought that is a Mercedes track through and through. And now it gets to the point where you think, where are they going to win? Because there's 2 rounds in Austria. That's more of a Red Bull circuit. Silverstone, okay, that's probably Mercedes. Hungary, kind of up in the air. And then you keep going with it and you think it's advantage Red Bull. It really is advantage Red Bull, especially in the Constructors' Championship. They lead by over almost 40 points now there. But we'll move on to the other Mercedes driver, the second Mercedes driver, the wingman, as some people call him, of Mercedes, Valtteri Bottas, Gary. And I mean, we love to dig into the details about things, but we've talked about it a lot on this show, and I want to get your take on it. It seems to me increasingly as though the relationship between Bottas and Mercedes is done. I mean, he had another outburst on the weekend. He was saying, you should have picked me. I was telling you this was a 2-stop strategy. You didn't listen to me. And it just seems like the relationship's done and the results aren't coming for him.
I don't think he was as polite as that, George.
Well, we try and keep it clean here. So,
right. I think, if you were to add up all the pieces and you were a betting man, you would have to say his days are numbered. I think, as Coulthard has been saying for the last few weeks, he thinks the deal's already been done. But you would have to argue there's more reasons for Bottas not to get his drive next season than there is for him to get it. I think Mercedes have got to look, looking like Hamilton will definitely re-sign again, maybe get another 2 years out of him. They've got to start looking now post-Hamilton. So they need to get Russell into the team, get him bedded in, get a couple of years of him so he can be the lead driver. So if for no other reason, I think even if Bottas is performing well and better than he's been doing, I still think he's a goner. Because I don't think they want to leave Russell hanging out another year at Williams. And he does seem to be, Total Wolff's already confirmed it's only Bottas or Russell on the radar. So when it's down to that choice, then I'm not so sure that Bottas, outbursts will damage him too much. It depends on what the relationship's like, sort of hour by hour, weekend by weekend. It's more long term. Lewis is known for his outbursts on the radio as well. So I don't think that's more worrying. It's more if the relationships start to break down in the debriefings in the garage. And then you could see a very... And he did, Bottas, during the close season I'm not sure I want to come back. Why is he saying that? Why is a driver putting that sort of mindset out there? That's, I think that damaged him. So my money, definitely, I think this is his last season at Mercedes, and I think it's from what we believe now, it's Russell. Now Ocon signed. It's Russell and with Lewis. Yeah, and I personally just think Bottas should retire. They're saying these only options are straight swap with Williams, but he doesn't want to do a Raikkonen and go back the way. You want to remember him. He'll just damage he doesn't have much of a legacy, to be fair to the man. But for whatever he's got, it'll be destroyed if he goes to Williams.
Yeah, I think you're right. you never know. He might want to go back to Williams, but he doesn't have much financial backing, and that's what they're looking for. And I think they'd much rather go for a younger driver as well, maybe a Jack Aitken, someone like that. I think you're right. I think Bottas, if we should retire, take some time out, take a sabbatical, go rallying. Everybody talks about his rally driving skills. Maybe he can show them off in WRC. So we'll see what happens with him. But yeah, it's just one thing after another. What happened in Spain? What happened in Monaco? What happened in Azerbaijan? It's just all culminating to point to him not being at that team in 2022.
Yeah, and if they want him to be the wingman, he's not performing in that role this year. He's not doing the job. I mean, one of the arguments they didn't split the strategy at the weekend there was so he could be blocking Verstappen and keep him out as a rolling roadblock. But he didn't make a particularly great job of that. I know his tyres were shot by then, but I think his days are numbered. I think we'll hear sooner than later is the good thing. I mean, I don't think Mercedes and Wolff want it to be a prolonged thing. I think once they've done the deal with Lewis, then I think we'll hear August, September time very latest. So at least we'll not be kept dangling on a string. And then it'll be interesting to see how Bottas, what he does then,
That's the thing, isn't it? I've got a sneaking suspicion if they haven't already signed the deal, they'll do it soon. But will they make it public? They want Bottas to perform as well as he possibly can so they can get the constructors, but not sure. It's a tough one. It's a tough one to call.
I think that goes down to personal integrity. If you're a driver and you're paid and a team's been good to you, and you're still taking the paycheck at the end of the month, then it's up to you to do the best possible job and not switch off. So I think we'll see the measure of the man in the next few months. I think that's what will come to the fore.
Yeah, we'll see how he gets on. It'll be interesting for sure. Let us know in the comments as well what you guys think about whether Bottas is going to stay next year at Mercedes, whether he's going to retire, whether Russell's going to be in the seat, when it's going to be announced. We go out live on YouTube. We have over 100 subscribers now on YouTube as well. I need to point that out. Thank you everybody that's subscribed. Make sure as well to ring the bell icon so you can find out when we go live as well, because we always go live on YouTube before it's put out on the streaming platforms. So yeah, we'll move on to third in the constructors. It is McLaren, Louis, and I am very, very happy to see this because I was thinking after Baku, I was thinking, Ferrari, they've got the upper hand. I've got a feeling they're going to get third. They're going to beat McLaren, but McLaren, despite an average qualifying, were incredible during the race. Ricciardo seems to have got on top of the car. He was a very, very solid sixth. Norris, a very impressive fifth. It's very much looking up for the team in Papaya.
Oh, it was a great performance from McLaren, and I was really happy with it. I was slightly worried after qualifying. I was thinking, oh God, Ferrari's just going to run away with this. But thankfully, it completely flipped on its head in the race. Daniel looked really good with the car. He looked a lot more settled. He was really, driving like we'd expect Daniel to. He was beaten by Lando in the end, but fifth and sixth of McLaren is a great job. And then coming into this race where Lando was so quick last year in both races, I think it could be another very strong weekend for McLaren. As Daniel just gets more and more comfortable with his car, we just know he's going to get quicker. And I think this the last Grand Prix was a huge step forward for him, and hopefully we can see more and more. And this battle between him and Norris is going to continue to become more interesting as the season goes on, and I hope that in Austria they're able to replicate the results that we saw in Paul Ricard, if not better.
Yeah, it's definitely possible, especially with the Mercedes engine in the back of that McLaren now. I mean, how impressed have you been with Lando Norris so far, Gary? I mean, he's in fourth place in the Drivers' Championship. He's ahead of Valtteri Bottas. He's doing incredible. And this is a track, of course, like Louis mentioned, where he got his first podium in the sport last year.
Yeah, I mean, he's having a great season. It's great to see as well, young guy. But again, you see a lot of these things are, like we're saying, Ricciardo had a good race. That'll pay dividends beyond belief for him because he's got his confidence back. Post race conferences, he was chirpy, smiley, the honey badger, all that was back. And him and Norris will bounce off each other, I think, in a good way. But Norris he's playing a stormer, and he's just again, McLaren have shown faith in him, giving him a 3-year contract, bedding them down. So it's like when the stars are aligning for McLaren just now, they're in a good place as a team. And I think a fantastic result at the weekend. And all they need is the odd race where the infamous Verstappen Hamilton coming together, which is bound to happen at some stage, and those two drop out. Yeah, we could have a McLaren 1-2 in some race, not beyond the possibilities. So they're definitely. I think they're on a roll, and I think that they kind of went off the boil a wee bit at the end of last season. So I think they've come back very strong. As you say, the Mercedes power unit seems to be working with their car. But yeah, Norris, I'll get my vote.
Yeah, he's doing incredible. And of course, like I keep saying, I think he's 21 years old. He's so young. He's only in his 3rd year in the sport, and he's looking like a seasoned pro. And yeah, and good to see Ricciardo as well doing well. He's not had it easy this season. He's really struggled to get to grips with the car, but a very solid result from him. It's probably his best performance, I'd say, since the opening round in Bahrain. So it's very good to see him do that well. Yeah, ecstasy for McLaren. They're doing really well. But it's just a dismal weekend for Ferrari. I mean, this is what we were used to last season, Louis. We haven't been used to it this season. They were good in qualifying. I'd say great in qualifying, really. They were looking like they'd get a great result, but both cars out of the points. Carlos Sainz 11th, Charles Leclerc all the way down in 16th. They just couldn't get to grip with the tyres, and they're going to be worried coming into a very rear limited track like Austria, I think, with that.
Yeah, it kind of felt like the Ferrari of last season. It was super disappointing, and not what we've come to expect from Ferrari this season. I think we were all giving Carlos Sainz the big praises on Saturday. Yeah, he did a remarkable job, but yeah, he just completely unravelled before their eyes. And it is something that should worry Ferrari, because you can't. In such a tight midfield, and especially this really tight battle that they have with McLaren, they can't allow McLaren to keep getting these edges on them. They need to make sure that they are comfortably, both cars, in the top 10, especially in qualifying, and then in the race they're able to push on to be best of the rest. They can't slip back, they can't fall back, because the constructors' battle is going to be so tight. And if they're dropping points now, that could be huge when it comes to sort of towards the end of the season, where the money is given out. So Ferrari need to make sure they have a quick turnaround. I know it's really quick between this race and the next 2 races in Austria, but there's going to need to be change, and make sure they're on the front foot going into this double header.
Yeah, Ferrari doing better this year, obviously, but that performance in France will really concern them. It's now 16 points between McLaren and Ferrari. McLaren have a 16-point lead over Ferrari. I mean, how do you feel about Ferrari this season, Gary? I mean, obviously, 4th place is not where they want to be, but considering how bad they were last season, it's definitely a big improvement.
Yeah, I think Louis hit it in the head. It's actually very disappointing. I mean, there was sort of what we've seen in them this season. You think good. I mean, whether you're a Ferrari fan or not, it's still good to see the red cars there in the mix, and and I think Leclerc and Sainz, a good combination. But I mean, Vinotti was in the papers this morning saying he wasn't sure if they're going to get it fixed this season. It was, they couldn't. There were some, I couldn't understand how maybe Louis know better, something to do with the rim on the tyre, and they can't reduce it because it's without the regulations. And they might be hampered now for the rest of the season. So, I mean, that was like, I read that and was like, well, what are you talking about? I mean, I thought it was one bad race, but now are they putting the red flag up and saying, this could be our season?
That's the first I've heard of that. I think they're probably kind of saving themselves, maybe, because any bad result they get in the first race at Austria, they're probably going to get it again a week later because it's the exact same track. So, yeah, it could be a very tough 2 weeks for Ferrari. I think they're probably overplaying that, to be honest with you. But they might struggle around the circuit in terms of power as well, because they have not the best engine either, as we know. So, yeah, be interested to see how they get on. But yeah, Ferrari are well clear of the other Italian team, Alfa Tauri, in the constructors. But Alfa Tauri, again, they'll be happy with how they've been going. No points for Tsunoda in France, but Pierre Gasly getting a solid result. He just produces solid result after solid results, doesn't he, Louis? He's always there in the points. 7th place, good for him. How do you rate their chances coming into what is, in a way, their home race?
Yeah, it's it's a tricky one because it really is a sort of story of two tales. AlphaTauri, you've got Pierre Gasly, the sort of Mr. Reliable this season, doing very well, getting in the points, showing us continuously week after week, just how good he is. And then on the other hand, you have Yuki Tsunoda, someone with so much potential and so much pace, but just can't keep his car out the wall in qualifying, and it's really hampering sort of AlphaTauri being able to push up further in this constructors' battle. But I think Pierre is going to just do what Pierre does. He is very quick. He is very talented, and I think he'll definitely be comfortably in that top 10, get more points. I think it's really just the pressure is on Tsunoda now. It's three. He's caused 3 red flags in qualifying now. He needs to start getting his clean laps in, start qualifying further up the grid. Even just a high Q2, getting in that sort of 11th, 12th place, he can still do some damage there on those fresh tyres at the race. So fingers crossed for Yuki that he's able to improve, but it needs to start happening quickly.
Yeah, I wonder if I think Gasly's just been outstanding this season. I think he's just been outstanding. I wonder if he'll be a bit unsettled with Ocon signing for Alpine for 3 years, because there was always the possibility that he would go to. I think for whatever reason, I don't think he's going to get back into Red Bull again. There seems to be some rift there that seems to run deep, whether it's with Horner or Macro, I'm not sure, but and whether he was thinking, about the French dream team. So I just wonder that he might get to the stage that he's outperforming the team, and I just worry for his motivation a little bit. He's got it all to prove, and if he's proven it to this ability, then he's nowhere to go within the Red Bull camp. Where does he go? That's for his teammate. Well, they moved him to Italy to get him closer to the base, and all he could talk about was how good the Italian food was compared to the English food. So, I know he's a young guy, but I wouldn't be my first comments to the press. The spaghetti's great compared to fish and chips. I don't really think that's the point, Tsunoda. I think there's maybe other reasons than your dietary requirements that moved you to Italy.
I really like Yuki, but I know what you mean. He's just a bit naive, isn't it, when it comes to stuff like that? I think, like you said, Louis, caused 3 red flags or whatever it is in qualifying now. Just things like that. You could maybe argue he's coming to Formula One a little too early, but I'm very glad he's there, and he's got a lot of pace. He's a quick kid, but it's just doing it consistently. If he started around 11th, 12th in France, he would have got points comfortably. He started in the pit lane and got 13th. So the pace is there. He just needs to do it consistently.
And I think it's like all these things. If he has 1 or 2 good races back to back, then people will start forgetting about the last few races. And I'm with you, George. F1 needs drivers like him. You need that. You need the raw pace, the young talent, and the sort of the quirkiness of him. And he's great for Formula One in Japan. Crucial market for them. He's got a lot of personal sponsors backing him now as well for his Japanese connections, and so he's a kid on the move, and he upsets Marco. So there's an added bonus.
Well, if he does that for long enough, it's not going to end very well for him. But
usually ends up one way,
Be out in a few races.
Oh God! Well, Albon's no threat to him. I think he finished 14th, whatever it was, in his first DTM weekend. So Alexander Albon's no threat. And I take your point as well. What you were saying as well about Pierre Gasly as well, Gary. There just seems to be a rift between him and Red Bull. I think Christian Horner said that he doesn't want him back. They don't want to get Gasly back. And Alpine signing, I know he's had a good season, Ocon. He's done all right despite the last race. But signing for so long, despite Gasly being available, it makes you think that maybe teams don't want him. Maybe he is a bit of an Alonso where he annoys the mechanics. He's difficult to work with. It doesn't seem like it, but who knows what he's like in the garage.
There's something. There's something in it. I agree with you. Ocon's, he's had a decent fist of it this season so far. Last race, put to one side, but they seem to be very quick off the mark. I don't know if they were worried that he was going to take the seat next to Lewis, and they were hoping to keep him. But you would have thought if that was the case, which I don't think it would have been, but even if that was the case, they could have said, well, we'll go for Gasly. Put him in the car. So is Gasly, is there something about him that you see teams don't want? Although he seems to gel fairly well where he is just now. I've not heard any. Yeah, I've heard more negative feedbacks about Russell than I've heard about. Even Jenson Button the other day wouldn't confirm he liked him. He was on Radio 5 Live and he was pushed. He sort of did the politicians didn't answer the question, and
that's a no then.
The host sort of like, come on, just say you don't like him, Jenson, get out there, and he just sort of laughed,
Oh God. Yeah, a few things up in the air. Drivers being signed, obviously, but yeah, there's still some maybe some gaps to be filled on the grid, not least at the front of it. We'll see how that all shakes out as silly season progresses. But we'll move on.
We'll have less silly seasons going forward if this team start to do more of these longer term deals.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Create a silly season, but if you start having a lot of the teams, at least if half the grid's confirmed for 2 or 3 years, then it starts to, and then there's less permutations and less options, and drivers signed for whom, whatever. So we might be our last run of the silly season for a while.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, McLaren have signed both their drivers to 2024. Alpines are signed up for a bit as well. There's a few long-term deals, yeah. Yeah. We'll move on to 6th place in Constructors' Championship. It's Aston Martin, Louis. And again, not the best qualifying for them in France. Obviously, Lance Stroll had his crash. Vettel went out in Q2 again. But again, if nothing else, that car is incredible on its tyres. It's not just Vettel. And we all know that Vettel can save a set of tyres. But Lance Stroll, both of those two, they went like 35 laps on hards, which, Lewis Hamilton was complaining after about 10 on his. It's amazing to see how long they can keep those tyres. And who knows, they might do it again. They might do it again in Austria. They might run long, go deep into the race, do the one stop, and come through and charge for a double points finish again.
No, it was an incredible performance from Aston Martin. I think they were saying in commentary is like lap 37 of Sebastian Vettel on his hard tyres, and he was setting personal best sector times. Just how? But no, it saved their race completely. Stroll starting at the back after failing to set a lap time, and then Vettel dropping out in Q2. It really did save their race. And Aston Martin, they don't look the quickest. They've clearly, as they love to mention, that they've really been hit by this regulation change. And I think finally they're just stop whined about it to the FIA and actually starting to do something, realising that their car is incredibly good on its tyres. They can go longer, make alternative strategies work. And it's yielding points. It got them a podium in Baku, and it's got them a double points finish in Paul Ricard. So if they can do it in Austria can be quite cruel on the tyres. So I think if they can do it again, they could be in the shout with some good points, if not on raw pace, but definitely on strategy.
They've certainly saved their season from what was starting to look like it was going to be a disaster for them. And then there's a whole pack of cards scenario there with the whole Aston Martin connection, the whole point of all this hundreds of millions of pounds being pumped into the car company to sponsor the team and all the tie-ups, and it all revolves around, Vettel, signing Vettel. So, get all the kudos of a 4-time world champion. In the first 2 or 3 races, you're looking at imploding on them. It could have went horribly, horribly wrong. So I think they've been, as Louis says, I think they've knuckled down and stopped blaming the regulations, and you just got to grips with what they've got. And, and Vettel, fortunately, if he'd had just speculated another couple of bad races, then what would have happened there? Whereas when he turned the corner himself and got, drivers only need that small bit of confidence. Like everything in life, you get a good break and something happens, and you build on it. But it could have went horribly wrong for Aston Martin this season. Horribly wrong. I mean, Lawrence Stroll apparently collared James Allison at Barcelona and said, "Why is my car not fast enough?" Which said, "What's that got to do with me? It's your engine, But so I think they've brought themselves back from the brink, and I think that, yeah, I think they're one to watch. But they've been very lucky. I think they could have, once you're in that cycle, bad run of results, blaming it on everything externally, and it just becomes a vicious circle. They could have been having a horrendous season.
It could have easily been a very bad season for them. Ever since Monaco, like you said, they've turned a corner. And yeah, they have stopped complaining. Obviously, Karen Safnar is not as vocal about the whole rake thing and stuff like that ever since the results have started picking up, which, okay, yeah, he's going to be, I suppose. Yeah, it's funny that. Call me a cynic, but there we go. But no, it's starting to look up for them. Vettel's got the handle of the car, and Lance Stroll, of course, he was always getting some points finishes from the start, to be fair, but he's continuing that as well. So, yeah, it's looking up for Aston Martin. We'll see how they get on in Austria. Another team that's starting to get some better results, or at least for one of the drivers, Gary, is Alpine. And Alonso, I mean, he was out of the points fairly early on. He was up there in the top 10 at the start, dropped back, and then he just sort of ghosted his way back into the top 10 again, got an 8th. I mean, it's just that kind of driver, isn't he? Just like Pierre Gasly for AlphaTauri, he just picks up the results.
Yeah, and I think you've got to look at the man's breadth of experience. I think the problem was the expectation was just way. I mean, he is box office gold because of all the temperament, and that's very subdued. So we've not had that element to it, which I think was big part of the build-up of him coming back was, we're going to see the bust-ups and whatever. He's obviously went to the team. I mean, that might still may come, but in terms of him starting out, that part's put away into a box to one side just now. But the guy's got huge experience, and that doesn't go. So I think he's had a slow start, but it's not dissimilar to, any of them, Ricardo, Vettel, any of them changing teams, But I think he's coming good. I think he'll get stronger and stronger. And I think he did Ocon a favour because Ocon got, a few good races under his belt, and then everybody's seen how good he is. And to me, the jury's still out there. I think the jury's out on Ocon. But Alonso, I think he'll get stronger as the season goes on.
Yeah, I agree. He's going to get more and more used to that car. He's going to keep going. He's going to keep building it up. But Louis, how do you see Ocon and Alonso getting on? I mean, it's a power track Austria. I think Alpine probably have the weakest engine in the Renault. But like me and Gary were just saying, Alonso, he just pulls out results. He just gets there.
Yeah, it comes from his absolutely enormous wealth of experience that he has in Formula One. And even though he's been out for 2 years, it doesn't really look as though he has, he's managed to adapt these cars really quickly. He's starting to get the results. He's doing really well. But yeah, I think it is going to be a difficult race for Alpine. They have been steadily picking up results. The first race in Bahrain wasn't brilliant, but since then they've been looking better. So I think it's going to be a tough race, but I think Ocon and Alonso are two incredible drivers. I think like Gary said, the jury is still a bit out on Ocon. He has his great moments, but he also can be quite poor at times. So I think it's just about keeping this consistency through the team, keep getting these points, at least challenging for points. It wasn't a great race for them in France, and I think there is potential for them to turn it around. But as I've already mentioned, I think it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy for them. There's some tracks that will definitely suit them more than others. I think I'm expecting good things from Alonso in Hungary. He always seems to do well around there. And the car shouldn't be too bad around there either. But we'll move on to Alfa Romeo. And Gary, for a team that were picking up results that had 2 points finishes in a row, to get 15th and 17th in France, their worst result of this season, is going to be a real hammer blow to them. But they are still ahead of Williams and Haas. They still have points on the board, which those teams don't.
Yeah, I know, but kind of Alfa Romeo, you kind of think, what's the point? I mean, it's just not working on any level. They're not delivering for Ferrari, and Ferrari need them to be doing the goods for them on the track as well in terms of the engine development. And they're like a team for me that's just pointless as such. I don't, you know, I know, I just don't know what they're about. You know, I mean, the Alfa Romeo thing's not really Alfa Romeo. It's just a sort of enhanced sponsorship deal. I know there's some technical tie-ups between the two companies, but even that deal all depends what the parent group's going to do, whether they pull out. You know, owned by one individual who, yes, is a passionate motorsport fan, but you know, he's not driving the team. He's not a Stroll or a Frank Williams or a Ron Dennis of the world. You know, he's wrote the checks to keep the team in business. They've got two drivers. I mean, I'm a huge Raikkonen fan, but I don't think they should have signed him for another season. There's plenty of drivers in the Ferrari driver academy that could brought through. Giovinazzi's in because of the, you know, the Alfa Romeo insisted on an Italian driver, and I just think they're just a mess. Basically, I just don't. You know, I think that we're in no man's land with them. They're not delivering the drivers, the engine, the package, the team, the razzmatazz. You know, why you'd want to back them as a team. It's, you know, I don't think the Alfa Romeo brand's working for them. I just think the whole thing's a mess. I think what will happen is the team will get sold.
Yeah, they are. You're not the first person to come on this show and say they're a bit of a nothing team. I think Tom Horrocks said it a lot on when he's come on from the Monkey Seat podcast. But yeah, you're right. It's not really working out for them, and a lot of people have said they're going to. You know, I can see it becoming Sauber again next year. I think they're going to lose the Alfa branding. Where they go from there, who knows? But yeah,
they'll be sold. They'll be sold. That's my prediction. They'll be sold end of this year, early next year. They're just waiting to see what Ferrari are going to do, what Alfa Romeo are going to do, but they'll be sold. There's plenty of people itching to buy a Formula One team, and they're the putting aside some of the other kids on the block. They're if you're in the market to buy a team, they're your best option. I'm not saying they're the best option in terms of a team, but they're the best option to acquire a team.
It's got big potential. They've got great facilities in Switzerland, to be fair. So I can see that. We'll see what happens with them. We'll see what happens with the driver lineup as well. There's a lot of question marks there. Giovinazzi doing better this season, a lot of people think, but we'll see if he sticks around without his backing, because that's why he got the seat this year ahead of Mick Schumacher, and why he's stuck in the Haas. But there we go. So we'll move on. We'll move on to Williams, Louis, who are back in 9th place. George Russell not quite getting that fabled point, but he did get 12th place, which leapfrogs them ahead of Haas. And it's a power circuit in Austria, a double header. And I know I keep saying this every week, but I swear to you, the weather forecast that I am looking at says it is going to piss it down all weekend. It's going to be thunderstorms on Friday. It's going to rain a lot, if that's to be believed, but we'll see what happens with that.
So what you're saying, George, is going to be bright sunshine. That it's going to be the hottest day of the year.
It's going to be 40 degrees like it was the other year. Yeah.
I mean, if it does rain, we're talking a big if, because it was absolutely pouring it down before the F1 for the race in France, but it didn't rain. If it does rain, then there's a chance. But of course, if it is going to rain a lot, then it's going to be a race of high attrition. It's going to be about keeping the car on track. And that does include George. We'll also have to keep it on track. But it's going to be, if it is dry, then I think it's gonna just be a sort of your bog standard Williams race. I imagine he'll find his way into Q2, whether he'll get above 14th or qualifying 14th is rare, so I doubt he will. But he's just got to keep his nose clean. Hopefully, it's a race of sort of high attrition. He can make his way through, because so often I look at where George starts, and like 3 or 4 laps in, he's behind Latifi, and you're just like, how's this happened? It happens a lot. Like, he does really drop like a stone quite often. So that Williams, especially, we're up in the Styrian Hills. It's going to be windy. That car does not respond to wind very well at all, and I think it's going to be tough. I know you're going to definitely predict later that it's going to be.
No, you can't say that. I've been going different ones recently. I've had 2 in a row correct. Like, the only 2 this season. So I'm not going to go with that. I'm going to do something else.
So, Yeah, I think the idea that George is going to get a point here is very unlikely. I'm not going to say it's impossible because in Formula One, nothing is impossible. So yeah, I think it's going to look bleak for Williams. But if it does rain, then it does provide a huge opportunity for them.
It does. It definitely does. Yeah. I mean, I went for an entertaining race in France, and I fully expected to get that wrong, and it happened. So you never know. You never know what could happen. Formula One is, despite what a lot of people say, Formula One is not a predictable sport. It's definitely not boring.
No.
There we go. Some people just love to hate, and this season is proving a lot of them wrong, even if they don't want to listen. But I'm sorry about this, Gary. I've given you the shortest straw of them all. It's Haas, the final team to preview. I mean, 19th and 20th last, in other words, in France. They were the last finishers. All the cars finished the race in France. But Mick Schumacher did get through to Q2. So he is at least doing his best. He is at least getting to grips with that car and slowly improving.
Yeah, but it's not any good if he's spinning it in the wall every other race. You know,
I mean, it worked for Leclerc. That got him 2 poles.
I mean, joking aside, Haas have got a problem further down the road. Because if both drivers keep panning it in the wall, Haas are going to run out of money to get the cars rebuilt. I mean, they're doing £500,000 worth of damage every time they prang it, and Haas don't have the money. So if you do this trajectory forward of both of them, at least in every Grand Prix, one of them is going to bin it either in qualifying or in the race. 5 races from now, Haas are going to be out of money. They're not going to be able to fix the cars. They're literally going to be out of cash. So there's that element to their drivers keeping it on the track. And I think Schumacher's doing all that could be expected of him. But the team, I mean, it's just faulty towers now. It's just the. I mean, I believe that Gene Haas left Barcelona on the Saturday after a bust up with Steiner. Now this is all the usual gossip and rumour, but I think Haas has had enough of Steiner 100% blaming it that he's got 2 rookie drivers. That's why they're falling behind Williams. And Haas has gone, well, you can't just blame it on the drivers. The car, you're not. Even Williams are bringing upgrades to some of the circuits, and you're not. And Steiner saying, well, you're not giving me the money. And Haas allegedly stormed off with "This isn't worth my while," was his quote. Or no, I'm wasting my time. And went home on the Saturday night and never stayed for the race on Sunday. So, if you've got that kind of eruptions going on in a team, you can imagine it just rippling. And you don't know the effect on one half of the garage stroke the team of having the Mazepan in the seat. You don't know what that to mean. It's easy for him to be painted as this complete villain. But if that's how the team feel about him as well, then added to the whole, starting from the very, very top, where you've got, Steiner and Haas at each other's throats, working all your way down through the team, then it's no surprise they're coming in 19th and 20th. What else would you expect?
Yeah, they've not developed the car. It's one of the worst engines as well, which isn't going to help them. But yeah, they are where they deserve to be. They deserve to be at the back for what they've done. They're just not
it's of their own making. It's of their own. They've created this situation through a whole lot of poor decision making. So it's where they go from here. I mean, this season's just a complete write-off for them. There's nothing they can do, as I say. But trust me, if they keep banging it on the wall, then they'll get to the stage and not have any cars on the circuit.
Well, I think Haas are another one of those teams.
Then they get fined off the FIA, and then they get in breach of contract off Liberty Media if they're not putting 2 cars on the grid, and then it just compounds the problem even more. If Gene Haas is going to have got his checkbook out, he got out a few months ago to at least put some more cash in for some developments this year. So he's in a real, when he's asked to get his checkbook out, it's even worse.
I'm sure a certain Russian billionaire might be able to write a few checks for those pranks, especially the ones that his own son are causing.
At what cost is the problem? At what cost, Gene Haas isn't a man that likes to get taken advantage of. So there's all sorts of messy dynamics going on there. There's all sorts of things that but for us as Formula One fans, it's rubbish because you've got 3 teams at the back of the grid that are just performing just so poorly that they're not bringing anything to the show, and there's not even that excitement of even the midfield teams when you're saying who's going to come third in the championship. You've got some sort of mini battle there. Like last season, it was, it was quite entertaining. Okay, we knew Mercedes and Red Bull were way down the road, but that pack of the sort of 4 or 5 midfield teams, that was quite an exciting battle. But nobody's going to get excited about the bottom 3. There's no value in it for us as fans. There's not. Williams is probably out of the 3 is probably the ones that fans, because of all the history and some of the drivers, would probably want them to do better. But I don't think there's many folk cheering Haas or Alfa Romeo on. I mean, the Italians are all cheering Ferrari, and the Americans are all watching IndyCar. So,
yeah. I don't think many Americans. I mean, Haas claimed that it's an American flag that they've decorated their car with, but we all know it's a Russian flag.
Yeah.
I don't think many Americans are like that. That's a massive middle finger to them, really. But yeah, it's definitely not harmonious at Haas, and it's hard to believe that a team that was challenging for best of the rest in 2018 is just so bad. Shows how fast it can
That's
go.
what can happen.
South.
That's what can happen in racing. Make the wrong decisions. It's a Williams point in case. Wrong decisions, fall out with BMW, chop the wrong people at the top, go down the pay driver road. You just once you make those, they all come at a price, and it's an unforgiving sport. You can be king of the hill 1 minute and
yeah, exactly. It's it doesn't take any prisoners, F1, does it? I want to give a quick mention to news that has broke today, Louis, about the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the final round of the season. And yeah, just in keeping with the good racing we've had in 2021, one of Formula One's worst circuits is getting a big makeover.
Yeah, it is. It's great to see that. I think it's the first hairpin after the first sector and the triple chicane sort of hairpin at the end of the second straight are getting completely redone, aren't they? They're being completely reprofiled, and it's going to be very different to what we've seen in the past. And I for one welcome it, as the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix is not always the most interesting. It's had its moments. I think last year it wasn't half bad, and then also the 2016 championship finale was also quite good. But apart from that, it usually fails to live up to expectations. But with the changes that they've made to this track, I think we all hope that it encourages more overtaking, closer racing. We've seen plenty of times this year, even in Spain. They just changed the sort of the turn 10 and allowed the cars to chase each other a bit more better, because they're not just stuck going through slow corner after slow corner after slow corner. So it's encouraging news, and hopefully in the future we'll grow to love the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix more than we have done in the past.
You couldn't say that with a straight face, and I can't listen to it with a straight face either. I don't think I'll ever love the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but this should hopefully help the action. I've always said they should get rid of that stupid chicane before the before the hairpin, and they're doing it at last. So yeah, and like you said, the triple chicane in the end of the second back straight, that's all been rounded off as well. So hopefully we should get some more overtaking. Certainly can't make the track any worse.
Yeah, it's funny to use a good Scottish phrase. It does my head in that they don't. I don't understand in some circuits that we go to that there's poor racing and overtaking and all sorts of problems. Yet there's some simple redesign solutions that they could do. Just do it. I mean, it's beggars belief that it's like they've got a product that's not working, so they don't fix it. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. It's in no one's interest to have races like Abu Dhabi. None. It's not in the interest of the fans, the sponsors, the teams, the sport in general. Nobody scores, so go and do something about it. It's not, especially with the brains involved in Formula One. If you take from an engineering perspective, and then they can't change a chicane. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
At least the UAE are doing something about it, though. At least they've done something. It's like 10 years too late, but they've got there.
Go from Abu Dhabi to Fabi Dhabi.
Fabi Dhabi.
I mean, there are some tracks out there that are, I think, beyond rescue. I think Sochi.
Yeah. If there were a horse, they put them down.
I genuinely think that what they should do with the Sochi track is just rip it up and just move to Sepang. That would be great.
Yeah. Or move to a Gora drive-in in Moscow. That'd be a better track. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's better than Sochi.
Imagine in football if there was some ground you went to and the pitch was all lumpy and holes in it and, uneven and players were breaking their legs. Football wouldn't go, that Old Trafford's a bugger to go. They just wouldn't do it. Something would be changed. They just wouldn't be allowed. You wouldn't be able to go to the French Tennis Open was on a clay circuit that was breaking up and the balls were flying off the side. They just wouldn't put up with it. Just beggars belief that we accept substandard circuits.
Yeah, Grade 1 tracks apparently, all Grade 1 circuits, authenticated by the FIA. But it does make you wonder how sometimes, it really does. But yeah, we'll go back to the Styrian Grand Prix. So let's go with our top 3 predictions, our podium predictions. I am going to say, especially since it's meant to rain, it probably won't rain, let's be honest. But even if it doesn't rain, I'm going to say Max Verstappen. He's good round Austria. Hamilton isn't that great around Austria. I'm tempted to go for a Red Bull 1-2, but I think Hamilton's just going to be there. I think he's going to at least beat Perez. So I'm going to go Verstappen, Hamilton, and Sergio Perez. Verham pair. It's my usual prediction, to be honest. There we go. Louis, what's your top 3 prediction?
I was going to go, I think I'm going to agree with you. Verstappen is probably going to win this race. He's so dominant there in the past. He's been so good. And even in the wet, Max is an absolute master in the wet. So, Max Verstappen to win. I think if it does rain, that's definitely going to play into Lewis Hamilton. So I think he'll, and even in the dry, I think he'd finish second. But my third place, I'm going to go with Daniel Ricciardo.
Ooh, that'd be good. His first podium for McLaren, and deserved on the last few efforts that he's put in. You never know. He could do it. He could well do it. Gary, what's your top 3 prediction?
Well, I predict Verstappen and Hamilton are going to take each other out.
Ooh.
So I think Bottas will win.
Oh my God.
And then I think it'll be Perez, and then I agree with Louis, I think it'll be Ricciardo. Wow. I would like to see what odds the bookies would give me on that one.
I think you'll get a very good return on that one if that does come in, I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's going to happen. These two are going to take more races we go into, the tighter it's going to become, more at stake. One, they're both not elbowing each other out of the way yet. One of them will decide it's my turn to stick it to you, and it's up to you whether you pull back. And one of them's not going to do that. So, and I think Bottas would have a strong race. I think he'll just break free.
He does do well around Austria. He did win the Austrian Grand Prix last year.
Yeah.
I think he won in 2017 as well. So he's decent around there. It's one of his better tracks. But so was Baku when he was nowhere. So we'll see what happens with him. I do agree with you though. There is going to be some incident between Hamilton and Verstappen. I'm just praying it's not like the Saudi Grand Prix or something. I want it to be a proper circuit, like somewhere like Suzuka or something like that. That'd be awesome to see if that race goes ahead. But Austria's definitely got potential for that. Hamilton and Rosberg did have their clash there in 2016. Yeah. So it's definitely possible.
To be honest, I don't really want to see it. I'd rather them. I'd rather them be racing to the end of every race. I'd rather have an end of a race like we just had than them crashing out in lap 1. So I don't want them to crash. I just think there's an inevitability about it.
If it does happen, I would kind of hope it either happens one at Silverstone or at Zandvoort. Just more drama.
That's a bit harsh on Dutch fans.
Oh, a crash at the Tarzan hairpin. Oh no! That if the fans are in and Hamilton's involved in that, he'll do very well to hightail it out there as fast as possible. Oh man! So
he'll be getting Mazepan security detail reassigned to him.
You definitely need a few bodyguards for that one, I think, won't he? Yeah, the Dutch fans are great, but I think if Hamilton took Verstappen off at Zandvoort, he'd really be testing them. He'd really be testing the control, especially when there's a few Heineken flowing in them. So,
well, Louis got the orange wallpaper at the back. The Verstappen just
no, it's McLaren papaya, isn't it, Louis? It's totally different.
Yeah, it's more likely to be papaya for me.
Oh, all right. So bold predictions, Sam. I think maybe Gary, you gave us a bit of bold prediction there, but what will mine be? There's the obvious one, but I know it's not going to happen. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say something else. I am going to go for. You know what? He's done it a few times this season, so it's not that big of a bold prediction. But I am going to say Sebastian Vettel for the top 5. I think he's going to do another wonder strategy, just go super long on his hard tires, especially if he qualifies outside of the top 10, obviously. So, which I think may well happen for them. So I'm going to go Vettel for a top 5 finish. Louis, what's your bold prediction?
Well, I was going to go it will rain, but I think that might be a bit too bold. Honestly, I know you always put your sort of Russell in the points, but
go on, Louis.
I'm going to go Nicholas Latifi in the points.
No! You know, I was thinking this. He got 11th place. He got 11th place there last year. It is going to be Latifi that scores the first points for Williams in like 2 years, isn't it? Not Russell. Oh.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. You know that.
I do. Deep down, I do.
At least with Georgie has got some points already. It's not like Latifi gets his first points before George does.
He should have had a win, Russell. I still can't believe that. He should have really had a win. Oh, Gary, what's your bold prediction? Are you sticking with Hamilton and Verstappen to have their crash? Is that the bold prediction?
That's not the bold prediction. That's just the run-of-the-mill prediction. The bold prediction. Schumacher to get into Q2 again.
Oh, if it's wet, like the forecast keeps saying, who knows? Could get a red flag caused by him maybe, and he gets through to Q2.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. You never know. He's improving. It's improving race on race, Schumacher. But yeah, getting into Q2 on pure pace in the Haas, that is a big ask.
The only thing you've got to say about the kid is when he does move to a proper Formula One team, the Haas experience will have done him good overall. I mean, you know, it's a bit like living in a house with an outside toilet. You move into a house with an inside toilet. You think you're in land of luxury, whereas people who've always had an inside toilet just think that it's normal. So I think when he goes to a proper team, it'll just be joy upon joy.
That is. I'm sure that's not the first time that the Haas has been compared to a toilet either during our show. So I do know what you mean, though. I do think that the great drivers, you know, they can benefit from driving a bad car. I think Button's year at Benetton in 2001 that taught him a hell of a lot. There's a lot of other examples as well. Alonso at Minardi, you know. Great drivers in bad cars. It teaches them to get the absolute most out of them. Even Raikkonen at Sauber when he first started.
And he's in particularly a bad team as well. It's not just the car.
Yeah.
So if he goes to, we don't know how much harmony there is in the Haas team, but you got to imagine that it's not the best of places to be as an employee, whether you're a mechanic or an engineer or whatever. It can't be a happy camp. So he goes to a team that's gelling, and imagine what it'd be like in McLaren compared to Haas garage. You know, it'd be night and day.
Yeah. The Haas team is just a mess. Simple as that, it really is, and it's a miracle that they got ahead of Williams for a race, but Williams are back ahead of them again now. So that embarrassment is spared for Williams at least. At least one of them is anyway. But yeah, that is the preview. That is the show. I just want to say as well that if you leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, we will give you a shout out at the start of the show. We've done that for everybody who's given us a 5-star review. And like I keep saying, you know, the download numbers on YouTube, the download numbers on Spotify and iTunes have been fantastic. You know, it's amazing to see. And it's thanks to you guys. It's thanks to you guys who are subscribing, following, listening, downloading, watching, and everything. It's brilliant to see. So thank you so much. Honestly, it really is great to be a part of this. I will give you guys a chance to plug as well. So, Gary, I mentioned that you're a Formula One author, but you also have a column, of course, as well.
Yeah, In the Pit Lane goes out on all good websites, including Sportlight Pro, which I think's run. I don't remember the guy who runs it. He reminds me of Gene Haas, but there we go.
I wonder in what way.
He doesn't get his checkbook out enough. But, yeah, GarrySloan.com if you want further details. There is other websites available.
All available at all good websites.
That's what I meant to say, yeah. Like F1Chronicle.com. There you go.
Of course, the guys that do provide this show, the show, it calls itself, calls home, I should say, if I can get my words out. Louis, where can people see or hear more from you?
You can find me on viewfromthecrowd.com, where I write about various different sports, but also on my YouTube channel with the same name. And I also do write for Spotlight Pro, doing a monthly Chelsea column as well as the odd F1 report.
Yeah, of course, Louis does feature with his Chelsea columns, and he does do the odd report as well for the site, which is great. So yeah, do check out spotlightpro.com. Do check out F1chronicle.com, of course, as well, where all these shows are hosted, and we have over 100 now for you guys to go through. There's a massive back catalogue of shows. It's not just the race reviews, the qualifying, and the previews. It's also more documentary style pieces as well, like what we did for Tiregate, Ayrton Senna, Michael Schumacher, the 1994 Benetton conspiracy. Honestly, go back if you want to learn a bit about the history of the sport, about its good and its bad and its very, very ugly days, then you can check out those episodes as well. We are also available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Verbal, Omni Studio, and Pocket Cast. Just search for the Formula One Grid Talk on all of those. And I have to go through this as well, because like I said, we do live stream these episodes on YouTube. And it's been brought to my attention that there's been some horrible things said during some of the recent live streams. It's happened a few times now in the comments section. If you're listening to this probably isn't you, but if you are the people that are doing this, you know who you are, because you've done it a few times now, and it's unacceptable. I have to bring attention to this. I'm not going to name names about the person it's been said about, nor the people that have said it. But yeah, I'm just going to read this statement out. So one of our panelists was subjected to abuse aimed at their gender recently on some live streams. This is a Formula One podcast at the end of the day. We talk about Formula One. We value everybody's opinions. We've got people from all kinds of backgrounds on the show. And that's part of what makes us proud of it, because, we've got people who have different opinions on everything. And this kind of language is just not welcome in any part of society, but has absolutely no place on our show. And it has nothing to do with it at the end of the day. Got a huge variety of guests from all backgrounds, and everybody is welcome on here as long as they're respectful to their fellow panelists and people as a whole. The person that was subjected to this abuse is now apprehensive about live streaming again. I don't know if they're going to be on any live streams going forward, which is sad, to be honest with you. If the abusers are listening to this show, you know who you are, and it's not the first time it's happened. What you're doing is not okay, and we don't accept it. We will be employing a moderator going forward to ensure that live chat is a safe space for people to be involved with the show and interact about Formula One. But yeah, we don't tolerate any kind of transphobic, homophobic, sexist, racist, or any kind of offensive language during our streams. This is a Formula podcast at the end of the day, and that's what we talk about. If you pop up again and do this, we will pursue every possible legal option to hold you accountable. We're not standing for this. To the vast majority of people that listen, watch, and interact with our show, thank you so much for your support as always. It continues to blow us all away how much our fan base has grown since we started this show almost 2 years ago now. And it's the wonderful member of our team that was subjected to this abuse. We love you, and the fact that you continue to be part of this all despite all the abuse, and you continued going with the live stream as well. You continued going. It didn't faze you at all. It's fantastic. It really shows what a professional you are. And we hope to see you back on the show soon again. But yeah, I just had to say that, because it's, we're all friends at the end of the day, and we don't want to see that. It's not right. But yeah, if you have nice things to say, if you want to ask us questions about Formula One, just go on the live comments on YouTube and we'll answer them after the show. Yeah. So thank you very much for joining me, Garry and Louis. Very much appreciated as always.
Yeah, good to be on. And second everything you just said there. Very sad state of affairs.
Thank you. And we'll see you on Saturday at 4:00 BST to analyse qualifying for the Styrian Grand Prix. See you for that one. Goodbye.
Bye.
It always lets you know now whether you start recording or stop recording, just so everybody knows. Oh God, yeah, I hated having to read that out, but it's just shocking what's happened.
Yeah, I don't know the background. I've never heard what happened, but it just sounds terrible.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I just saw a message from them and I was just like, I can't believe this is happening. I wasn't even on the show, but I came on to defend them. So, just people just going out of the way to be offensive, and it's like I said, it's a Formula One podcast. It has nothing to do with it. And even if it did, you can't go saying things like that. So,
it's just sad. You just hope all I hope for in any of our lives is that the vast majority of people aren't like that. You just have to keep marginalising these people. It's the downside of the internet and social media and not anonymity that people can hide behind the keyboard. That's the downside of all the benefits that it's brought.
Yeah, like I said, the keyboard
must be a
is
scary
thing
as well. I mean, I don't think people have any idea the level of hatred that's out there from these trolls. Just the abuse and the nastiness of it all.
Yeah,
and I do think that a lot of the platforms, do make it too easy. None of this, I know we don't want to go into the same, but the pendulum's too far one way. None of this. You don't have to verify who you are, and you can hide behind anonymity. It's not good enough.
No, it's not. I mean, you see people getting arrested and people having charges put against them for mean tweets and stuff like that, but it's like 1%.
Not even 1%. Yeah. And to be fair to the authorities and all that, there's not the resources to tackle it.
No,
it's not. The people they can catch that made lots of death threats and whatever, they might be able to do something about them, but police just don't. I used to be involved in fraud, not committing it, but investigating it. And,
now's a better time than to come clean, Gary.
Yeah, and it was the one thing that was always the case. The police just, you're going to get point something % of fraud will actually get investigated. It's just, apart from the fact fraud's a time-consuming thing to investigate, you need thousands and thousands and thousands of police officers just try to tackle fraud. So it can't be done. It has to be tackled from a different angle, Yeah. But I do think people shouting out and speaking out about it.
Yeah, I mean, I reported all the comments and they disappeared, but they didn't actually disappear. It just disappeared from my screen. They were still there. I think they're still on there. I think they're still on live stream. So
it's like the people that put the nasty reviews just for the sake of a nasty review.
Oh, we've had one of them.
You get these. That pisses me off as well. It's even putting aside podcasting, but people that work really hard running a restaurant or a hotel or a bar. Oh, no. You get some knob just because they're a knob decides to give it 1 star and make something up. My chips were cold or whatever. You just hope that when people do read reviews, you do have to filter out. If I ever read a review of, say, a hotel, and there's the vast majority of it is positive, and then you get the odd one or two, you just have to hope that they are just dickheads, basically.
Yeah, we one of our first reviews on iTunes, and it hurt us for a long time, I think, was someone who put a 1-star review, and they just said, I can't remember what it was exactly. It was something like cars go round and round. There's nothing to talk about. And that was the review. That was a 1-star review. And that damaged us for ages. And we eventually got it took off. It took months.
The only thing with a review like that, you would expect people would can see it for what it is, because it's not exactly a very eloquent argument,
No.
Maybe we even had articles written about the podcast, sort of like talking about F1 podcasts, and then we get what was that one people that wrote that we were. It was a very emotional, not really factual.
Oh my God! Yeah, they were just.
They're not the one recently having a pop at the age of. They're all too young. Maybe that's why you want my ugly face back on it.
Experience, Gary. It's experience.
Very diplomatic. Is that because I called you Gene Haas?
Well, we've got the same initials, haven't we? So
yeah,
get teams call from me or Gene Haas. You never know. It could be either one of us.
Yeah,
both GH.
GH Colin. I remember I got somebody. I decided to write an article for. I was trying out Drive Tribe, the Jeremy Clarkson
Yeah.
thing, and so I put something on and just seen what reaction it got. But I mean, just compared to like the comment section, some sites I write for that are all well-educated comments and whatever. This was just, I think I'd written something not too complimentary about Sochi, and it was just, the guy's avatar was like one of these big 7-foot Russian wrestlers with the mask on, and the comment was, "What are you trying to say about my home country?" I think I'll believe it. I don't think I'll be writing for this lot again. The hassle of people out,
Oh God.
Wow.
Ruby commented during the live stream, BWT Sauber for 2022.
That'd be Rich Energy Sauber, won't it?
Oh no! Don't bring him back. Don't bring William Story back.
BWT Sauber's not a bad prophecy. They're still putting lots of money. They're sponsoring both the Austrian back-to-backs. They're the title sponsor of both races. They're still putting reasonable amount of cash in Aston Martin, Austrian. But it'd be more fun if it was Rich Energy.
Not for the right reasons, though. Just for Drive to Survive.
You need to spice it up a little bit, don't you? Richard Story at a press con. Imagine Richard Story getting interviewed alongside Total Wolf. That would be fun.
Oh my God. That'd be something. What were you going to say, Louis? Sorry.
I've honestly...
About William Story.
Oh no, William Story. No, he announced I think it was just before the season that he's got a verbal agreement with a team.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
And it was like, in a couple of years time, and in a year's time, we'll be able to formally announce it. I'm like, Christ, maybe
I don't buy that.
I know he is a massive shit stirrer. He is.
I think he's unhinged somewhere along the lines. A fantasist, Walter Mitty of the world.
He sells a product that doesn't exist.
His famous court case, he had 2 million cans, but there was no drink in any of them. He's arguing, we've produced 2 million cans, and they're putting you bought 2 million empty aluminium cans. You're not actually producing anything to put in them. He goes, well, I've still got 2 million cans. I didn't say there was anything in them.
That is ridiculous. I can't remember what show it was. I think it might have been Soft Tire Podcast. I love those guys. I think they described him as evil Santa. Massive beard that he's got. Oh my God! Yeah, no, he's ridiculous. He is.
But
he must be a front for something.
It'd be quite good to have the odd spicy sponsor or two in Formula One. Too many of them. The big IT corporations and all. Dull as ditch water. We need something. Still need the balance in there if wants to break it and shift it out a bit. Or we'll go down the corporate road too much and then it'll just be sanitized.
It was entertaining looking at the tweets when they first sponsored Haas, when they were targeting Red Bull, just like, this result is unacceptable compared to our rivals Red Bull.
I remember in testing, Haas had set a faster lap time on day one of testing than Red Bull, and William Story was like, this is where I want this team to be, #, faster than Red Bull. His first day of pre-season testing, mate. Calm down.
He probably thought it was a race.
Yeah.
Probably thought it was the opening race of the season. He probably heard opening pre-season and he's probably heard open season.
Open season.
Dear.
Oh, God. Yeah, definitely entertaining, but definitely not for the right reasons.
Well, he stitched Haas up good and proper. I don't think they got any. I don't even think they got a deposit off him. I think he got 6 months. 6 months
path, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's partly what's definitely damaged Steiner with Haas, Gene Haas tremendously, because it was a Steiner deal. Gene Haas wasn't involved in it, and Gene Haas, he'll have been furious getting stitched up like that. So it showed at some level Steiner's business acumen was somewhat, or his judgment was somewhat lacking. That saying that, not alone, there's plenty dodgy sponsors over the years pulled fast ones on teams. I've never ever found out what happened to Rocket and Williams. There's a story there that got
that was
buried.
weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, they got buried. I don't know. Now I went hunting on that for a long time, but could never get to the bottom of. I know Rocket didn't cough up the money, which gave Williams the reason to terminate the contract, and Williams were probably it was the final nail in the coffin for them anyway. But why did Rocket not pay the money? They had the money, so what triggered that? Unless Rocket was trying to force Williams, unless there was some dodgy dealings behind the scene that Rocket's stitched Williams up, so it forced the sale of Williams. And the mysterious real owner of Williams.
Oh yeah, I remember the article on that one. That's interesting. That.
Yeah. So whoever payrolled Darlington to buy Williams could have set up Rocket. Don't pay them the money. We'll keep you right. Don't pay them the money. I'll put the final nail in Williams' column. We'll step in and. Because something happened there. Because Latifi he bankrolled the team on the fact that if they ran out of cash, then it was his team, and then the rug got swept from underneath his feet. So something going on there. He might buy Sauber. There you go.
Look, that's Sauber.
He's got to do something to keep his son in a seat, because once Darlin doesn't need his bucks, Michael Latifi's a goner, because I don't think he's done anything really.
Latifi has stakes in shares in McLaren, doesn't he?
Yeah, I know, but they're worth virtually nothing now. Been diluted down to, he had 10%, but by September they'll be worth zero. He's had to write the whole thing off, as the Bahrainians have done. McLaren just keep reissuing rights and just keeps diluting the shareholding. So yeah, he got his fingers burnt there badly.
I didn't realise that. Yeah, Williams is an interesting one, because presumably Russell's going to leave, and then Latifi's not exactly too welcome if his money's not there or they don't need it anymore. Especially with the cost cap coming in, it just makes you wonder who's going to be there. I'd love to see Aitken there, but I just got a feeling he won't be there.
It'll be Roy Nissany.
They're saying they're putting out all this stuff in the press since the sort of stuff about Russell that Williams is the team all the drivers want to come to because it's on the app. bit of a richer story, sort of kind of. But yeah, I can never pronounce his Capitio, the new chief. But that's what he was saying yesterday. Was the Williams are the sought after team, and queries from some big names now. I can't really see it myself,
I mean, they are going up from 10th to 9th, but it's
still 0 points.
Yeah, and you got to remember they've only gone up one place because Haas is such a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, even Haas were able to score points last season. And they were.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Woeful.
You say about Nissany, Louis, and I do agree. They obviously want him there. They put him in pre-season testing. They've put him in practice sessions, but he don't have enough super license points. He has to do really well in F2, which he doesn't look like he's going to do, or go to another series. And obviously, he can't do that because of mid-season. So I don't think he'll have enough points for a super license.
Well, I think for Aitken's sake, I think that is the hope. But it's not like Jack Aitken's ever going to win the F2 title, though. That's already gets enough. Because he's not even racing in F2 this season, is he? He's full-time.
He came in at Monaco, didn't he? But he weren't there in... Oh, no, it was F3 in France, wasn't it?
Mm.
Was he? He was there in... I think he's back in F2 because he was in Baku.
Yeah, he was replacing a couple of drivers who weren't able to make it. He was only filling in. It wasn't a permanent spot.
But isn't it because Nannini... Alessio Nannini, he was going to race in F2, but then he decided, I don't have the money for this. And he's gone back to F3. So he's filled his spot because his teammates with Delada, who is a very controversial character as well. He really doesn't deserve an F2 seat.
I mean, I'm looking at the F2 standings at the moment, like the fact that, you got the likes of Oscar Piastri, he's in 2nd and it's his rookie year. You got Theo Pourchaire, he's in 6th. Liam Lawson in 8th in the championship. So many good drivers coming through F2 these days.
There's some brilliant drivers in there.
And what about, did you watch any of the W Series? Not yet, on its first season?
No, I didn't actually. I know Chadwick, she's dominated both seasons, I think. I think she's been by miles
I think
the
they've only had
best.
one season because I don't think last season happened.
Oh yeah, it was only one season. Yeah.
They only had 2019.
Hmm.
But they've done this big deal with F1 now, so they're, at 8 races, same weekend, same circuits, and then it's live on Channel 4, I presume in the morning.
Yeah.
It'll be a morning race. So it's a pretty big deal for them.
It's good to see. I think they've got both the opening rounds in Austria and Styria.
Yeah.
They're both the opening rounds. I'm interested to see it. I want to see what it's like, how fast it is, who the good drivers are. 'Cause I'd love to see a woman in F1. I've always said it, but they've got to earn it. They've got to be there on merit.
Aren't they F3 type cars? Aren't they the W series?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if it's wheel stuff and just how it pans out. Did you watch any of the Extreme E?
I saw the desert one. It's kind of hard to follow for me. I've always found rally. I love rally. Don't get me wrong, but I've always found it hard to follow just because they're not racing on the same track at the same time. Really, it's all different stages.
Didn't really ring my bell, must admit.
I've always wanted to go watch rally live. That's one thing I've always wanted to do because, of course, they have the the GB stage of the WRCs in Wales, and it's like I'd always want to go.
Yeah.
But I
think it'd be quite exciting to watch. I think you're right there. I think stand on the hillside watching them roar past you would be quite good. I noticed Extreme E, which I thought was a bit strange because they've cancelled the next round, wherever it was. They go to 6 endangered landscapes. They've cancelled, I don't know if it's the ocean one the next day or whatever it is, they cancelled because of COVID. And they've muted a new destination of bloody Scotland. So I don't know how they think we're in danger.
Or inside of Ben Nevis or something. What are they planning?
That's what they're having. But I don't know how it fits into the environmental. It's in, the desert, the ocean, the ice cap, all the endangered landscapes. So don't know what's endangered about here.
It's just two. They've done desert and ocean. Ocean was in Senegal, I think.
They've got rainforest.
Those have been cancelled because that was Brazil.
How does ocean work? It's by the ocean.
It can't be in the ocean, can it?
Yeah, no, there's
amphibious cars. You like part water, part land race.
I don't know how
Top Gear challenge.
Yeah, probably. But it's had. It's commercially, it's been a huge success so far. The sponsors and TV companies have been pouring millions and millions of dollars in it. They love the concept of it. It's ticking all their boxes because of the demographics who are watching it, the young millenniums that care about the environment, blah, blah, blah. And the TV, they've signed the TV deals they've signed have just been phenomenal for a new series they've run. So commercially, it's been a massive success.
Kind of like Formula E, like you look at the way that they sort of get like the fan involvement and the way that they do things online. Like I'm not the biggest fan of Formula E. I don't watch the racing because I don't particularly enjoy it. But like everything sort of for me, sort of like outside of what actually goes on track for like Formula E, if like really sort of they're very, I would say they're very modern, sort of, especially when you look at sort of Formula One, where when Bernie Ecclestone was in that, no one could take any pictures within the paddock. That was not allowed. To be published anywhere. Like if you want to see the paddock, you pay to see the paddock.
Yeah.
And the sort of Formula One's finally sort of getting a bit more modern, but like with Formula E, it's so engaging, especially with the fans.
I just can't watch it, but it's the noise. That's what kills it. They should put some soundtrack over the engine or something. It's just the noise of it just does it for me. And I think the circuits don't lend themselves to interest in racing, some of them, So I just, again, it's a shame. I thought I would like to have seen it, be more interesting or something to watch. But it's doing all right. It's getting the figures.
Yeah. For me, I see it as more like glorified bumper cars. Like you see some of this, like there are some like some great drivers. There are like some amazing drivers in Formula E, but I think even the most sort of diehard Formula E fan will have to concede that at the time, some of the quality of racing, especially wheel-to-wheel racing, can be very poor. It's the amount of drivers just going into each other, just basically just putting each other in the wall. It can be quite poor.
Bernie Eccleston got it right when he just compared them to lawnmowers.
Yeah, I have to admit that the noise is a bit silly. I don't mind it that much, but I'll watch it.
It's what kills it for me. It's just the noise. If not, the noise just absolutely kills it for me. I just can't. When I was watching, it just completely switches me off. And I'm saying there's lots of good things about it, but I just it's just crap. It's just, off the line. It's just
Right, like Lex, if you're listening, please make that into a soundbite. Like Lex is our editor. I want to make that into a soundbite. That's brilliant. Garry Sloan's impression of a Formula E car. But you're all right. It does sound exactly like that. Oh, I get that. I don't mind it, but there's some races that are terrible, and there's some times as well where. Like when they all ran, I know I keep going. I've mentioned it a few times, but when they all ran out of energy in Valencia, I know. That was farcical.
That was a disaster for them. Absolute disaster for them.
Bring back the car changes.
That was a bit of excitement. I like that.
I tell you what, I think is quite good about it is their safety car, the wee Mini Cooper. That was quite cool. I was here booting it around. I mean.
Used to be like a
you
BMW
forget when you watch
IA.
like the Mercedes or Aston Martin now safety cars like that going down. You forget that these guys are absolutely booting it to the limit, but it looks slow because of what you're used to seeing. But the Mini Cooper definitely, I thought it stole the show.
I do like how I have two different safety cars now, but I don't like how it's all sponsored. Where it's just like AMG safety car, Aston Martin safety car. I just think, oh god, we're getting so close to NASCAR at this rate. Everything's got a sponsor.
Did you see Grosjean last weekend when he crashed on the Saturday?
Oh, in Detroit, yeah.
Yeah, and then on the Sunday he broke down his brakes went on fire and he got the fire extinguisher out. Did you see the footage of that?
Yeah.
Because I thought when you seen the flames coming out, it was just like a flashback for him. That's like he burst out as if the whole thing was about to blow up. But apparently he was wanting to save the car. But I quite thought when the fire marshals arrived, they just they virtually had to body tackle him out of the way, leaving his fire extinguisher. But you just think, what's he doing? The gods gave him a second chance. Hang up the racing.
He wants to win, doesn't he? He's not won or been the competitive car to win in a very long time. Since GP2, you could argue. I think that's what I know what you mean, yeah. He's not racing at ovals, so that's not safer for him.
I think he did at the weekend. I think that's because he's got no spatial awareness, so ovals are just going to be a disaster for him.
I was disappointed that he wasn't considered for the 500, but like as he is a rookie, then it's kind of fair enough. But I'm sure.
I think everybody forgot much that I thought it was a miracle that he got out of the car, and it was horrific to watch, etc., etc. And everybody forgot it was Dickhead himself that caused the problem. I mean,
yeah, it was. He just completely drove into
without his problems. I mean, there have been calls for years for a lot of drivers for him just to be banned because he was that dangerous. So I mean, it was the proverbial accident waiting to happen.
Mm-hmm. It was like that crash in Spain where he decided to spin his wheels up and create a massive cloud of smoke through turn 3, so no one could see him or see other drivers. So it was like, was it Hulkenberg ploughed into the side of him, and then I think it was Brendan Hartley also got caught up in it as well. It's like,
no great loss, I have to say.
Mm-hmm. Right, I've got to get going, lads. I'm going to call it there. Yeah, great catching up with you. We'll have another show to preview Austria same time next week, Garry, if you're up for it.
Let me think. Yeah, probably should be okay on that. Yeah.
I'll send you a message about it close to the time.
Yeah. Cool. Good to chat.
Cool.
As always. Yeah. Well, see you soon, lads. Take care.
All right. Cheers.